Also, what's with the beer?
Oh,
You thought the smell of beer would rouse him. Oh, why? Because he's Irish. Did you bring some corned beef, too?
no.
What is up, nerdtectives? Welcome back to another episode of Nerds at Night. I am your host, Blake Weather, the world's most okayest detective. How is everybody doing? It's been another week, and I've definitely missed all of y'all. And I'm so glad that we're here at the finish line on week 9 to solve the case and talk all about... Y'all, this episode was a lot, but also, were there really any surprises? I've been saying... I'm not the only one. I'm going to say I've been saying, but I'm not the only one that's been saying Marshall was sus AF. I think a lot of the speculation was he did definitely steal the script. We got that. Hey, we got that validated, right? And also, he's Rex Bailey, who Homeboy was talking about in episode 4. I'm going to insert the clip right here.
This was the one where that shite fucker Rex Bailey got his heel blown off teaching Johnny Knoxville how to get fired out of a cannon.
Is that a real bottle, you asshole?
Set them up, you prick! Are you calling me a Rex Bailey?
That won't be the last time you see that clip, I guarantee it. But yeah, like such a throwaway line back then for it to pay off now. And how interesting was that? You know what I mean? And then we get Ron Howard. That's freaking great, right? Everybody loves Opie. And then we get this great dynamic with Oliver and Charles. It's going back and forth. And then that all leads up to them making up at the end, which like really, did that warm your heart too? It warmed my heart. Like it definitely, this show does great about tugging at my heartstrings at certain points. And I'm here for it. And I didn't know I was here for it. So like, you got me, show. You know what I mean? But yeah, this was great. Also, rest in peace to the homie Glenn, right? Like, rest in peace to the homie. Pour one out for your, pour one out for your boy. You know what I mean? That was sad. Bro, imagine being Paul Rudd. They're just like, hey, you want to come back for another season and die? And he's like, yeah, sure. They're like, you get to do an Irish accent. And he's like, yeah, why not? That sounds like fun. That's great. But yeah, rest in peace to Glenn, the homie. Who killed him, right? This episode, it answered a lot of questions. It does what the show's been doing all season. It answers a lot of questions, and then it brings up a lot more questions. And you're just like, bruh, what is going on? Also coming back full circle, we see that case of beer. We see the script is in there. Mabel finds it. Do you really think she's in danger though? Like, I don't think she's in danger, but it leaves us on a great cliffhanger. This episode does. I really enjoyed this episode for all the clues that they were throwing at us. You know, I'm so into clues. So like, I think this episode could have been like, it could have had no jokes and I still would have been like, but did you see how many clues we got? But also, this episode was like littered with jokes.
Would you do me the honor of being Mrs. Glenn Stubbins? Also, I'm Glenn Stubbins.
So I don't know. I think this was a great episode. I don't think it was like the best like 9th episode of any season or anything. Like it isn't like a standout or something, but like this was fun for this season, right? Like I'm glad that they did things the way that they did them. And I'm glad with the amount of clues that we got because I'm super excited to dig into this episode with you. So let's get right into the show. If you've tuned in before, you know how this works. And if you haven't, welcome on my new little Rex Baileys. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over our rules for solving a murder mystery. We're going to go over our recap and clues. Going to go over our fan comments. And then finally, it's not going to be the last time, before the killer is revealed, we are going to go over our suspect board. And we're going to, fingers crossed, hopefully get as close to possible with identifying who killed Sazz and who's on the hunt for our podcast crew. Now let's talk about our rules for solving a murder mystery, because we know murder mysteries follow rules and a structure, and we have our own structure and rules that we use to find the killer. So what are these rules, you might ask? Say it with me if you know them. Rule number 1, you got to have suspects. Rule number 2, you got to have clues. Rule number 3, you got to have motivation. Rule number 4, you got to have opportunity. And always rule number 5, you have to have red herrings. With these rules in mind, let's go through the clues and suspects one last time and see if we can finally solve this case. So as usual, grab a coffee, grab a beer, grab a whiskey, and let us begin. We start off the episode with a flashback to Sazz getting a call for a gig and hitting a pedestrian. Sazz is impressed with how they took the fall and invites them to be a stunt person. Our podcast group goes to the hospital and tries to con their way into Glenn Stubbins' room to ask him some questions. The nurse ain't having their foolishness though, and they get booted to the waiting area. While waiting, Oliver gives Mabel the beer he was gifted from Sazz, and the crew bumps into the bartender from Concussions. The bartender tells the crew that Sazz's protege on Project Ronkonkoma wasn't Glenn, and he was another guy that he didn't know. He says the protege messed up real bad on the set, and the only people who know the whole story were Sazz, the protege, and the director, Ron Howard. We see another flashback of Sazz preparing the mystery protege for his first fire stunt scene, and we see what is likely the source of the piece of silver tinsel we found earlier in the season. Back in the present, our crew adds more clues to their murder board and tries to figure out how to track down Ron Howard. Oliver says he knows Ron Howard and tells an elaborate and detailed story about their wild night at a Chinese restaurant. Oliver says he wants Charles to handle his bachelor party and has 3 requests.
Whiskey, A-list celebrities, naughty secret.
Got it. HELP.
Mabel decides to visit Bev Mellon to help her track down Ron Howard, but Bev thinks she's there to talk about the movie. Bev complains about the script, the cast, the crew, and the wardrobe, all while making a Red Bull and beef jerky shake. Mabel finally says she's there to find Ron Howard, and Bev gives her the address in exchange for helping her proofread Mabel's parts of the script. Mabel halfway agrees, and our crew goes down to the shooting set to find old Ron. After having trouble getting past security, our crew pretends they are extras to get inside the set. The crew is now on set, and Oliver is sure once Ron Howard sees him, he'll be recognized and they can get the info they need. The crew then gets informed they have to act to keep their gigs as an extra for the day, and our crew is frantic. Oliver passes, Charles is given the job out of pity from being on Brazos, and Mabel also passes. Glenn awakens from his coma and falls in love with his nurse. She informs him the podcast crew came by to chat with him about Project Ronkonkoma, and Glenn says he needs to speak with them immediately. The nurse informs Glenn she'll contact him and also get his doctor. We flash back again and see Sazz preparing her protege to be set ablaze. Back again in the present, Charles and Oliver get suited up in motion capture spandex, and Mabel gets a text that Glenn is up and she heads to the hospital. Oliver and Charles quickly get into an argument about the kind of bachelor party Charles had in mind for Oliver. We next see Glenn is awakened and is smothered by an unknown assailant. Back on set, Charles and Oliver have their big scene as extras. Oliver tries to go over the top so he can get Ron Howard's attention, and him and Charles get into another heated argument about the over-the-top request Oliver has for his bachelor party. Ron Howard boots Oliver and Charles off the set and meets the rest of the extras. Mabel makes it to the hospital only to find out Glenn is now dead. We see an interesting news report on a missing person, and the nurse says when Glenn awoke, she only told Mabel and Glenn's emergency contact, Sazz Pataki. She also says a man answered the phone. We flash back again and see the fire stunt from start to finish, and it looks like it goes good until something shocking happens off screen. Back on set, Charles opens up to Oliver that he's sad that he's a third wheel now that Oliver's getting married. He says he didn't want to do a big bachelor party, he just wanted to have a celebration drink with Oliver. Oliver suggests they get some food. They end up going to the restaurant that Oliver was talking about from earlier, and Oliver informs Charles he wants him to be his best man. Charles then orders some whiskey and moves Oliver's picture in the restaurant next to Ron Howard, thus completing 2 of Oliver's requests for his bachelor party. Right after this, Ron Howard enters the restaurant and recognizes Oliver from their night long ago. Mabel returns to the former Dudenoff apartment, and Marshall is waiting for her to try and get help to correct her lines in the script. Mabel says she's not in the mood to help and informs Marshall someone else has died. Marshall wants to capture what he just heard her say and begins to write. Back at the restaurant, Ron, Charles, and Oliver get into the story about what happened on Project Ronkonkoma. Ron says the stunt went good, but the stunt actor approached him and wasn't completely deflamed, and the stunt actor ended up causing Ron Howard's eyebrows to burn off. Mabel goes over the script with Marshall, and while grabbing a beer for both of them, finds something in the beer box. Charles and Oliver ask more about the stuntman, and Ron says the stunt guy stole his shoes. They also look strikingly similar to the ones Tawny Brothers had.
Do you remember his name?
Oh, I'll never forget him. Rex Bailey.
A name we've heard before.
This was the one where that shite fucker Rex Bailey got his heel blown off teaching Johnny Knoxville how to get fired out of a cannon.
Ron shows Charles and Oliver a photo of Rex, and they realize it's Marshall. We're shown all the flashbacks with Rex's face now visible, and we even see he's suspected of killing Glenn. Mabel sees what she found in the beer box is Sazz's script for the Only Murders in the Building movie. Mabel asks Marshall why there's a script written by Sazz, and Marshall sees Mabel's phone with a text from Charles saying Marshall is Sazz's protege. We end the episode with an ominous look from Marshall. Now let's ask some questions. Did we all think the mysterious stuntman was Marshall all along? How long was Rex Bailey Sazz's protege? In this story, we hear about Jackass Forever, which was released in 2022, and we know Rex Bailey was a stuntman 2 years ago. So how long was he a stunt person? Do we believe Marshall is the killer? Could Marshall be the shooter and the one with Sazz's phone? We know whoever has Sazz's phone also has access to cameras in Oliver's and possibly Charles's apartment. We also know they're male and likely the one who smothered Glenn Stubbins. With all that in mind, let's talk about Marshall and his lack of talent in doing rewrites for the script. If he was the one who had access to the camera, cameras and could listen to the podcast crew, wouldn't the script turn out better? If he doesn't have access to the cameras, he doesn't have access to the phone. If he doesn't have access to the phone, then he wouldn't have been the one to kill Glenn. Also, we've never seen Marshall in any location with the shoes that Ron Howard is describing. The only pair of shoes that we've seen have similar bottoms were worn by the brother-sisters, specifically Tawny. Speaking of brother-sisters, we do know they were in Dudenoff's apartment the night of the murder, but did they ever leave? If so, when? See, we do know the killer was in there at some point in time, given their shoe print, paint chips, a non-flammable silver strand from a fire vest, and the bullet that was used. But who all knew the code for that room to plant or create this evidence? We also know the brother-sisters couldn't have had Sazz's cell phone because they were with the crew when the crew received intimidating texts from Sazz's phone, and we could see the brother-sisters were not using a mobile device at that moment. Could it be Bev? We see she couldn't be the killer because she does have an alibi and she was at the photo shoot running right after shots were fired. Could she still be the mastermind? Let's also revisit some day one unanswered questions. If we knew someone was in Sazz's place when the podcast crew was there and someone was at the Arconia giving Lester a note to replace the window, this means we have someone who is in on it on the East Coast and someone who's in on it on the West Coast. Here's 2 more points to round this all out. What does this news report mean in the grand scheme of things? Could this case tie into the current Sazz case somehow? And for our last point, let's notice the Westie's clothes in last week's flashback compared to the photo Vince has in his house with the face scratched off. It's for sure the same wardrobe, so if we weren't sure before, we know the missing person is Helga. But what we still don't know is why her face was scratched off. Oh boy, those were all the thoughts I had from this week's episode, but let me know what thoughts, what clues, what, if anything, stood out to you from this week's episode. Let me know what I missed. Y'all guys do a great job of that. Let me know any little thoughts that you guys had or any moments that stood out to y'all as well. And speaking of y'all's comments and thoughts, y'all pulled a Britney Spears and y'all did it again. Because I know I said this last week, but I have to say it again this week because last week's episode was the most commented episode that we've had all season long. So let's just first give a round of applause. Let's give a round of applause to all y'all selves. I don't get it. I think y'all just like making me emotional and just making me feel all warm inside and all tingly. And I honestly, I don't have words to say thank you enough for just being so awesome and being so interactive with me. Like I've never even met y'all in person. I'd love to meet every single one of you. I feel like we're friends. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, it's overwhelming when I see something like that. Y'all do it. Without y'all, there is no me, there is no show. I know it might be a cliche to say, but like, that is literally it. So thank y'all so much for all the love, all the comments, all the theories. It's been amazing. I would not have expected this when I started this season. Thank y'all so much. With that in mind, right, let's ride the wave and let's read some of y'all's fantastic comments from last week. Oh, one note before we get to the comments real quick. I have a big announcement. I want y'all to just flood the comment section for this video and for the final season finale video, because the week after the season finale, I'm going to drop one more episode where I read everybody's comments, but I'm not doing it alone. I will be joined by a surprise guest. Well, it's not going to be a surprise anymore because I'm about to tell y'all who it is. He's a fellow YouTuber. He also breaks down Only Murders in the Building. I've mentioned his name a couple times on this podcast. He may be familiar to some of y'all and new to others. It is Ivan Montero. You can follow him at FilmerDude24. He does amazing breakdowns for Only Murders in the Building. I reached out to him. So yeah, he's going to be with me the week after the season finale. And we're just going to be reading comments from this episode and from the next one. So stuff that we didn't get to, whatever. We're just going to be reading a whole bunch. So just send in whatever comment that you want. If I don't get to it next week, I will definitely get to it the week after. And we're going to try to read as many as we can. We'll probably do a pretty long episode. I just kind of want to extend our time together, if even by a week. So yeah, look out for that. Be excited. But now for real, let's get to the comments. Our first comment comes in from That 90s Girl. Okay, so I'll tell you why we keep hanging out with you. Your thoughts and comments on theories, suspect boards, and all that jazz come across very genuine. Watching your videos like talking to a friend on Zoom, dissecting our favorite show together. Plus, your format is different from other review channels in that you just don't review the episode, but you actually try to solve the mystery. I think that's very cool. Plus, your channel is the reason I got turned on to Death and Other Details. Always looking forward to more recommendations and insights from you. That 90s Girl, thank you so much. And everybody out there who feels the same. Thank y'all. I again, I don't have the proper words that like articulate the level of appreciation that y'all deserve. But thank y'all. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that we're all able to solve the case together. I want to say this, like, if I could do a Zoom or something with and have all, let me know if I could, like, I should put together a Zoom or Google something where we could all like just like hang out or something. Like, I'd love to, like, if only for a few minutes, like have everybody together and we can all freaking nerd out, you know. I think that would be dope. So yeah, let's see if we can figure out a way to do that. I think that would be dope. But thank you so much, that 90s girl. Our next comment comes in from C3202. I found your channel because of the season. I wasn't looking for theories and breakdowns in previous seasons. Thank you so much, C3202. Yeah, like, I think that there's a lot of people just, this is not a hate. I think there's just a lot of people that do reviews and are like, I give this show an A, or I give this show a B, or I give this episode a 7 out of 10 or whatever. I don't think we all care about that. Like, we're all here to watch it this season. I was very influenced by Double P Media. I watched a lot of his videos. So my son was born about a year ago. It's going to be a year in November. And I remember being in the hospital right when he was born, watching this show, and then finding Double P Media. If you guys don't listen to him, he's like probably the best YouTuber who breaks down. And he was a big influence on me to just like, let's solve a mystery. I was a huge murder mystery fan. Yeah, like, I was like, dude, I'd want to do something like that, but I also want to do something interactive. And so I sort of took a little bit what he does, a little bit of what Matt and Jess do, a little bit of everything. I made a show that was the show that I wasn't seeing on YouTube yet, right? There's not this kind of format that didn't exist. This isn't to pat myself on the back, because I hope somebody out there takes this format and then does something and does it even better, right? There's probably a better way to do this. Hopefully it's inspirational to whoever wants to start their own YouTube channel. If you want to start your own YouTube channel, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. But yeah, I'm so glad to just be somebody that people find and that like, or like, I didn't think I wanted to break down the series, but actually I want to break it down. I want to solve it from week to week. I don't just want to think about like, was this episode good or bad? Was it funny or not? So I'm so glad that we can all come together as nerdtectives and do some nerd shit. You know what I mean? So thank you so much, C3202. Our next comment comes in from Yana477. So what happened to the cameras from last episode? Mabel and Oliver seem comfortable to return to their apartments. For real, bro. What, the cameras don't exist? Like, what, did they find them all? Like, it seemed like they like jetted right after they found one. So bro, you're not concerned? Oh wait, they did go to Oliver's. My bad. They went to Oliver's and they brought all the Westies there. Maybe they did that on purpose because they know there's cameras. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. But it seems a little funky. So whatever. Our next comment comes in from Sumi462. But Rudy said he doesn't hunt, but he has woods wallpaper. Sure, it looks Christmassy, but who would go that far to have forest wallpaper if they don't like Christmas? He could just have white walls with decorations, but he has woods. Seems like something a hunter would have. Also, at the end of the episode, Mabel draws the pig and it's a cutesy little baby pig. To me, it resembles the one Ben drew on his mirror, which is like another hint towards Glenn to me. That's a great comment because I have been getting and seeing some of the comments in here that like, yeah, Rudy could be the other killer. He's got, you know, if you notice the wallpaper in there, right? Also, he talks about like putting in deer hoof. Bro, where are you getting that from? Like, maybe you could Amazon that? I don't really, it seems a little exotic, you know, like, bro, who's just going to have deer hoof? Like, ask your neighbor, be like, hey, can I borrow some salt? Also, can I borrow some deer hoof? Bro, they're probably not going to have it. Like, it would make sense. A hunter has deer hoof. It would make sense. A hunter has maybe that wallpaper. There are a whole bunch of indications. When we get to the suspect board, we'll break it down a little bit more. But this is some drops in the bucket for old Rudy because he could be in on it more than we know. So we'll get to that in the suspect board, but this is a great comment right here. Our next comment comes in from AGUD Teach. I think that Sazz wrote the script and is dead. I think that Sazz was targeted because of her script getting taken, and then Glenn because he recognizes Marshall. Marshall is for sure involved somehow. Major spoilers have been leaked on Reddit. So AGUD Teach, you got it right. Like, that's literally what happened in a nutshell this episode. We find out Sazz wrote a script. We're suspecting old Marshall took it if he's the writer, right? And we're suspecting Glenn was put in the hospital because of recognizing Marshall, right? Old lassie with the beard, you know what I'm saying? And likely because he knew about whatever else and he's awake. So now he's got to get the 86 treatment, you know what I mean? But yeah, Marshall is for sure involved somehow. When we get to our suspect board, I'll get into my theories, and then I will get into who my final suspects are once we get there. Major spoilers have been leaked on Reddit. Guys, if you want to look at the spoilers, cool. If you don't want to look at the spoilers and you just want to keep it funsy, you know, I haven't read any. I've been on Reddit and I haven't read any spoilers. Luckily, right? I've been avoiding a lot of stuff. Maybe I'm just clicking on the right links or the right discussions or whatever. But I know they're out there. So if you guys maybe want to go look at them, cool. If you don't, if you want to save the big secret for another 3-4 days, Christmas is right around the corner for all of us, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I appreciate the comment, though. Thank you so much. Our next comment comes in from LK21010. I still don't get some things. Like Helga would play the Perfect Strangers theme tune, say, meet me at 4:45, then they would talk with her, as we saw in the episode of Rudy's apartment. What would they be talking about if they'd been keeping the truth from her? Still don't know who was talking on the ham radio saying they wanted Charles dead. Like, the trio should have asked them. If the Westies did it as a hobby and weren't involved in her death, then they surely would have heard something. It's a great point, right? Because, after last week's episode, I had all these questions about Helga, right? Rudy says she lives in Finland. Bro, she don't live in Finland. She's not in Finland no more. Like, she got here so quick. She said that Mabel reached out to her on the ham radio. She there. It was likely the same day because she got the idea of the ding dong thing from Eva Longoria. So obviously, Helga is somewhere within a few hour trip to get to Oliver's apartment, right? With that in mind, she's reaching out to Rudy, even though the Westies are not really on a talking basis. That's kind of suspicious. And they're playing Perfect Strangers theme, which is something Dudenoff, right, had brought up with Helga. That's still kind of suspicious. So, like, either Rudy is more buddy with Helga than he's leading on. And if that's the case, we got some information that he's lying about or holding back on us. And we don't like that, do we, nerdtectives? We don't like that one bit. Like, what really are they talking about? Like, right? Like, meet me on 4:45. Why? So you can be like, hey, I hate you. Where is Dudenoff? Bye. Like, right? Like, that's not probably the type of messages that they're having with one another. And if we're saying, and I know that Sazz said in season 3, right? Like, she heard some talk on the ham radios about some people wishing it was Charles who was dead, right? The only people we now know with ham radios are the Westies. So, in my opinion, right, like, they're talking amongst each other. Like, one of them does not want him alive, right? And I don't know who it is. We'll get to it on the suspect board and see if we can figure it out. But I think we're led to believe, so far we know ham radios from season 3. We see ham radios in season 4. And we're meeting characters that we know for sure have the ham radios. And one of them has been like, bro, the world would be a lot better if Charles wasn't here. You know what I mean? So I think we're led to believe it's somebody in the Westies crew, somebody who's lying, somebody who's keeping some secrets. We just talked about it, but like, there's another finger pointing to Rudy. And now there's a finger pointing to Helga, right? Because what you discussing, right? If your exes, and they're not really exes, right? But what are you discussing? What are you talking about? And you're right. The trio should have asked them. The trio have been off of their game this season in asking questions to suspects. Like, they're just sort of letting them be all blasé and be all out in the fields and doing whatever they want to do. Bro, we got to tighten it up, man. We got to tighten it up. Like Detective Williams said, tighten the shit up, right? Tighten the shit up. Ask the real questions. Be harder, man. Otherwise, they just run around and people dying. You want people dying, or you want to ask some questions? Let me know. Great comment right here, though. And our last comment comes in from the unused word. I'm going to go ahead and just read bits of this because I think that there's some good takeaways from this comment. Thanks for my reply. I was thinking Big Mike as in Doreen's husband. At first, I thought he and Doreen were going to be guilty of something because Doreen had that lifelong hurt thing as a reason to kill Charles. But since watching season 4, episode 8, I've been mostly thinking it's Big Mike, the cop/pig, as some would say, and Bev who are in cahoots. My reason for the theory, Bev unnecessarily shooting into the air at Sazz's park to warn her partner that something's up and not to come inside. Her being the first one to show up at Mike and Doreen's exactly when Charles is entering Mike's boat. Charles answering his own question on how she knew where where they were, he says, Howard, Bev doesn't have to give an explanation. Bev refusing to eat what's inside the kitchen and going outside for something, quote, more substantial, namely pizza crust? Sure. Her behavior was extra off at the house. This is an interesting theory, Bev and Big Mike. And we have to look at the why, right? If we're remembering from like season 2, there was all this evidence that wasn't getting marked correctly, whatever. It was somebody in the police department, yada, yada. But if we think about it, is Big Mike is a police, wouldn't he be in a different jurisdiction in Long Island than the crew where they live in like actual New York City, you know? That's sort of a little drawback for me, but it is interesting, right? That like Bev was acting super weird in that episode. Again, I even thought at one point, not only in this episode, but in the episode where it's episode 5, where she like goes down in the elevator and then comes back. Again, I thought she had like a twin or something, because like, I'm like, dude, this Bev left looking for somebody. Who are you looking for? She's like, oh, Mabel, I came back up to look for you. Like, I've been looking for you. Bro, Mabel been here the whole time. Where have you been? Right? Who are you? Who is you? Where are you doing? Bev does definitely have some weird tendencies. And I'm not going to be surprised if she's involved in this somehow. I think as like a string puller or something where she wants to keep the wheels in motion to keep this movie afloat, right? And get this movie successful. That seems to be like her only goal in life. You know what I mean? It would be interesting if Mike was involved, but I'd want a backstory on like how these two met, right? Like, when did that happen? Was Bev a waitress over there at that restaurant, Cans or whatever you want to call it, right? I don't think so. So I don't know how they would meet. Maybe I'm thinking too deep. Maybe it's just like, bro, they'll explain it in the episode. But like, it would be interesting, right? But I also too, I have a reservation, because it's like, are we introducing a killer this far deep? I guess you could if they're like not the main killer. And also too, it strikes me as odd, Big Mike narrating that episode, because usually you got somebody narrating and they're like, you know, they're kind of important to the whole season or the case at least, right? They're important. So like, that is a plus for Big Mike being involved. And that's a plus for this theory. I think of the two, that Big Mike wouldn't operate with his sister to kill Charles, but also, why does he want to kill Charles? Like, have we been given any indication that like he dislikes him? Maybe he dislikes him because his wife dislikes him. I don't know. I do like this theory. I want to keep hope alive for you. If it turns out this way, the unused word, this is all you. You get all the credit for it. So yeah, if you had this theory too, shout outs to the unused word, because you're on the same train with her, and we're going to see if it pays off at the end. Appreciate the comment though, unused word. And I also appreciate everybody else who sent in comments. I just love interacting with all of y'all in the comments, and I try to reply to every single one of y'all. It doesn't matter how long it is or how short it is. I read every single comment, and I do try to reply to every single one. Sometimes I miss the threads. Like, I'll come back to it and it's got like 5 or 6 replies. I'm like, what the hell has been happening? This is great. It's great to see y'all interact with each other. But so if I miss something or something, hey man, just tag me, let me know, whatever, yada, yada. You can always tag me and I'll see it. But it's so much fun interacting with y'all and reading y'all's comments. So thank y'all to everybody who shot in a comment. Thank y'all for everybody who's been interacting in the comments. It's been a pleasure, but the ride is not over with comments. Again, get your comments in for this episode and for the final episode, so that way me and Ivan Montero can go ahead and read all of them in the episode we'll do after the season finale. I'll include his link in the description if you guys want to go find him, check out his stuff. We spoke today, and I know he's dropping his video the same day this one drops. So, you know, after you're done watching this, go check it out. And if maybe you came here from seeing his channel, just let me know if you watch Ivan Montero, or if you like him, or if you've seen him or something like that. Ivan is the homie, so I'm excited to have him on. For now, this kind of almost brings a tear to my eye, because it's not the last time we'll see the suspect board, but it is the last time we will see the suspect board and move people on the suspect board, because we know the reveal will happen next week. So with that in mind, this is the last time we will move members on the suspect board for this season. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go to the suspect board. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last time here, let's soak it in. Let's love on it, and let us move some suspects on the suspect board. I brought out all the big guns, right? I brought out every single person that I could think of that maybe is not on the board just yet that we're going to add. We're going to move around. We're going to have our last bit of fun with this board. So let's start from the top. We don't have any top suspects yet, but we're going to move Marshall there, right? For obvious reasons. We're going to go to highly suspicious. We have Bev. We have Dr. Maggie. I almost want to move Dr. Maggie down. We haven't even seen her twice. I'm going to move her to maybe. I want to keep hope alive, but no can do, right? Like that's not going to happen. I don't think she's going to come back, but it'd be crazy to see. It'd be crazy to see. I don't know. Rudy, we're going to come back to Rudy in a second. We got our probably nots. We have a big, long plethora of characters over here. And then in No Way, we have Mabel, we have Charles, and we have Oliver. I almost wanted to do this with Glenn and be like, no way. But did Glenn just die because he recognized Marshall? Or was he in on something, right? I don't want to move him to no way. I do want to move him to probably not. I don't think he would kill Sazz if Sazz is his emergency contact. Like, bro, like who would put a dead person as emergency contact? Like that's wacky. I mean, the man, the man's a little wacky. He's seeing rats everywhere, right? They're following him. I just don't think, I think he might be, adjacent to, slightly involved, but not involved in murdering Sazz. It sounds like he loves Sazz, and Sazz is his emergency contact on his medical forms, right? So, that has to mean something. However, I don't think he'd have Sazz on his emergency contact if he knew that like somebody had her cell phone, she's dead, yada, yada. So this must be from a while back, right? Of medical records that they have. Obviously, he couldn't fill it out if he's in a coma, right? Like, so they're just using what they have from the past. But yeah, I think he trusts her enough to not want to kill her. So I'm going to put him in probably not. Helga is still so suspicious to me, dude. Just there's some suspiciousness going on with your girl that I just haven't figured out yet. But I do know this. She was able to get in to any door that she wanted to. She's a locksmith. She did know the keypad, the key code to the Dudenoff apartment. Sounds like she gave Sazz a lot of information. It sounded like she was friendly with Sazz. It also sounds too like she was almost shifting the blame and letting the crew believe, like, let's make pretend she's in on it. She was letting the crew make pretend that it was Glenn who was the protege and not Marshall. How would she be connected to Marshall? I don't really know. Right. I mean, if she knew Sazz could be like, hey, like Marshall's a bad guy. Like, don't speak with him. Right. Yeah, that's how that would work out. There she would be like, don't speak with him. So how would Marshall get in contact with Helga? Unless like Marshall, again, if he snuck into Sazz's apartment, steals her ham radio, starts chiming in like, hey, yo, 10-4, what's going on over there? And it happened to be on Helga's channel, right? I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking outside the box. But I feel like, with how much Helga can get in and out, it's suspicious. But now that I say everything that I said, you're not going to bring in a killer or somebody that's going to be your prime suspect like 8 episodes in, even though we heard from her in episode 4. I'm still going to leave her in maybe. You know why? If the Westies scratch her out of the picture, they did it for a reason, and I don't even know why, but they did it for a reason. So we're going to leave her in maybe, and that's the final bit of it. Maybe always means, though, not necessarily your killer, but that you got some information that we need. So I don't think she's a killer, but I think she got some information that we need to solve this case. Bro, this bartender dude, he reminds me of, you ever seen Scooby-Doo? Of course you've seen Scooby-Doo if you've seen the show, right? He reminds me of like that angry janitor or something, or like the angry caretaker person of the graveyard. And isn't it typically them, right? They're like, you kids, get out of here. It's been haunted for 67 years, ever since the so-and-so died after robbing a bank, right? There's always some sort of legend or myth that they tell the Scooby-Doo gang. He seemed like that guy. He's so grumpy. Man, somebody get this guy a beer or something, bro. Get this guy a little tweeds or something to relax this man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. He just seems too grumpy. I almost want to put him in highly suspicious. And here's why. Who told him to come to the hospital? right? Who told him to bring some flowers and come to the hospital? Bro, you know Glenn ain't up. You know they're not gonna let you. You know they're not gonna let you in. Who you can give the flowers to? The nurse, bro. Where those flowers go, anyways? You just carrying them with you just to make it look like you're coming to visit Glenn. We saw you in episode 4, right? If we could suspect Glenn, and he was brought in on episode 4, we can suspect you. I think maybe he might be helpful. He might be like again angry and then be helpful at the end. He was helpful now, but like, wouldn't he know who Rex Bailey is? Right? When Glenn gave that speech, every stunt person knew who Rex Bailey was. Like, they weren't like, wait, who's that again? I don't know that guy, right? No, this guy knows who Rex Bailey is. And if he doesn't, he's new. And if he's new, that's suspicious, right? Like, if you're a new guy, no new friends. In the words of Drake, no new friends. We don't feel that. So I don't know. There's something off about that dude. I think the kids call it bad vibes. He does not pass the vibe check. Let's put he does not pass the vibe check. Let's put it like that. I think it probably not. We're going to put Doreen. We've only seen her in one episode. We'll probably see her at the wedding. You know, she's going to want to be there and be loud and bring a little doll or something. So I don't know, but we'll probably see her then, which means if she's there, we'll probably see Big Mike. I want to put him in probably not. I don't think there's not enough of a case for him to be the killer, unless they're going to be like, oh, remember this thing that happened in season 3? It was this throwaway line, or season 2. And you're like, man, I guess, like, right. Like, maybe, you know what? Just for the simple fact, for amusement, right. For the unused word, we'll just go ahead and put him there. Right. Probably. I don't really want to put him here. And I trust me, I don't feel peer pressured, but just in case, right? Let's keep some theories. Let's keep some theories where you're like, bro, there's no way. Let's just, we might be wrong. We might be right, but we're having some fun. We're going to put him there, you know, but I seriously, I think he's going to fall more. This is my leaning toward him. Probably not. We'll just put him there. Maybe he knows something. Maybe he don't. Maybe he'll do something. Maybe he won't. I don't know. And then there's this fool, bro. The alter ego of old Marshall, right? Oh, Rex Bailey himself. I've seen a theory going on online that says they twins. Who believes that? Because it could be. But do we have twins who both want to be screenwriters, right? Like, that would be interesting. And like, that would make sense for the title of episode 5 to be adaptation, right? Because like in the movie is Nick Cage and he got twins, right? And I think one of them dies. So like, what if Rex is dead and Marshall is, you know, carrying on the legacy, and he's like, I'm going to right your wrong. I'm going to Batman you, right? I'm going to right your wrongs and, you know, seek vengeance and whatever Batman does, you know. Are they two different people or are they the same person? That's the first question. Let's ask that. Two different people, same person. Because if they're two different people, this is what I'm going to do. We got to move Marshall to highly suspicious. I think he just steals a script, right? But if he's one and the same person, well, obviously they're going to go in the same line, right? Here's my thoughts with this, though. I don't think Marshall pulled the trigger. I don't think Marshall killed anybody. I could be absolutely wrong, right? His shoes don't match. He don't got the phone because he doesn't know how to capture these guys' voice. You know, he says he's in LA doing a comedy show. You can upload, trust me, you can upload anything and put it in the title when it's uploaded, you know, yada, yada. You could do all that. You could finagle YouTube. Also, you're not doing an hour, bro. That still throws me. You're not doing an hour. You're not that good, man. If you're not that good of a writer, how you going to write an hour-long bit? For real, though. Riddle me this, Batman. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think he's the trigger man. I think he's just guilty of stealing Sazz's script. I think, you know, maybe even harassing her or something, just wanting to be around her and then stealing the script. I don't think he's guilty of killing her, though. I could be wrong. But what I do think is this young man right there, he is our top suspect. In the words of Marshall, you'd need to be in the peak shape of your life to go ahead and make a run like this happen, right? To go ahead, shoot, get to the other side, get the body, dispose of it. It can be done. You just have to be really quick. What if it's not two people? What if it's Rudy, right? And I'm going to bring this up. We know the person that has the phone is a male, right? The nurse confirmed this. Hopefully she wasn't lying. And we know if the person has the phone, they were contacted, so they know to go kill Glenn. Right? Very good. Rudy and Marshall could be in on this. I don't know how, but they could be. I don't know where the linkage would be, but they could be. Rudy knows the code to get into the Dudenoff apartment. He could let in Marshall if Marshall was the shooter, which I don't think he is, but he could be, right? There's going to be a scenario, one, where Rudy lets Marshall in. Marshall makes the shot. Rudy goes over there, goes and collects the body, dumps it down the incinerator. He knows how things work in the Arconia, right? And also, he's been around. I've always suspected one of the Westies has always been around. And we're suspecting Uma and Lester and Howard. Negatory. You know who's been in the building too, just as long as all them? The people in the West Tower. What if Helga was suspicious for good reasons of one of them? What if it was Rudy, right? What if Rudy was the one writing these notes and poisoning dogs and shit like that? Like, yeah, that's devious. That's the audacity, bro. That's devious. Why? And then also, why kill Sazz, right? Was he trying to get a role in the movie? Like, what's the deal there? I don't know. And that's always the case with murder mysteries. You never know the motivation, right? Like, the motivation is always the last bit of information that you get to put together. But you get to put together like, oh, this is maybe a thing that of why they did it, right? And this is maybe who did it, but like, and this may be how they did it. But the why, the bigger why, it's always a little tougher to put together. So in my scenario, Marshall and Rudy, I don't know how, but they are shooters. They are killers, right? We know Rudy was out too at the time of freaking when there was a shooting, right? We know that him and Vince were out. We don't know if they were together, but we know they were out and about, right? Because then the shooting happens and then they got a drone, bro, with the dude off Social Security money. Bro, y'all are despicable, bro. What's wrong with y'all? But he did. Dudenoff he signed off on it, right? He co-signed. So, in all fairness, right? Like, they get a pass. He's also unaccounted. Rudy is unaccounted for the night of the murder. Where was you? Where what were you doing, right? Why you didn't give the detective a story? This makes you highly suspicious, bro. And again, he could have been out at a bar. He could have just been, at the gym. I don't know. I don't know this guy's life. I don't know what he's into. You know what I mean? But I do think Rudy, Marshall, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to move Bev in there. Not because I think she's a shooter, but because I think there has to be organization of everything, right? I think she's like sort of the organizer. She just stands out to me. Hopefully it's not this. Hopefully it's not Dr. Maggie, right? Hopefully it's not. Like, we'll just move her. We'll leave her there. We'll leave her in highly suspicious for now, right? Just in case. Let me cover all my bases. You know what I mean? But what I do think is you have to have somebody in the East Coast. You have to have somebody in the West Coast. Whether these two are twins or not, don't know. So the scenario is scenario A. Marshall's in on it with Rudy and Bev. Rudy's a trigger man. Rudy's the muscle. He takes care of shit. And Marshall's sort of the mole inside of the whole infiltration system of everything. Or Marshall's not involved and he just stole the script and he has a twin named Rex Bailey, and Rex Bailey's the one in on it. And this would make sense because none of the shoe prints match any shoes that Marshall has up until this point, right? The theory that I want to believe in, like that, I just went through probably what the popular theory is going to be. It's going to be Rudy and Marshall, and they're going to think Rudy and Marshall and Rex are the same person. My theory is Marshall is a script stealer. He's a swindler. He did what he needed to do to get to the top, but he has a twin brother named Rex Bailey, and Rex Bailey has been the one killing, and maybe he's been killing with Rudy, or maybe he's been killing under instructions from Bev, right? We do know that we have to have somebody in the East Coast and somebody in the West Coast. So let me rephrase. Rudy would have to be involved in this case because that night that the podcast crew went to Sazz's, they were in her apartment and they heard something, shuffling in the night, right in her place. So there's a noise there. And then earlier that day, Lester gets a note to fix the window. Bro, and the crew's not even there. They're not even back home. So like, who would have given the note? Who would have known to give the note to Lester? So we know that we have to have somebody in the East Coast and somebody in the West Coast. 2 killers. And I'm just throwing a third in as a mastermind. Why does there need to be a mastermind? There doesn't, Blake, but like Molly Shannon, if she was the bad guy giving some sort of bad guy monologue, don't y'all want to see that? That would be so great, right? She can get crazy, you know what I mean? I just think back to Superstar, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's my theory. Rex Bailey is Marshall's twin, and he's been the one that's causing chaos. And he could want to go after Sazz. And maybe the brothers, like, maybe he's like, I'll shoot Sazz and you could get your script and everything will be okay. And the brother's like, yeah, I guess, whatever. But Marshall seems like a nice guy. Also, don't let the show fool you. They show you this scene right here.
When'd you grow the beard, lassie?
And then this is how this scene actually played out in the episode.
When'd you grow the beard, lassie?
So you see how they try to like dramatize you? They try to gaslight you into believing some things that aren't true in the first place. It's because Marshall didn't shoot anybody. He didn't kill anybody. He's not the killer. He's just guilty of stealing a script. As far as I know, he may try to off Mabel now, right? But this is how I want to leave things. We have Rex Bailey being a twin of Marshall. Marshall, he is a top suspect. If they're the same person, then, you know, blend the theories together. But my theory is Rex Bailey is a twin of Marshall who's working with Rudy. Or if I get it wrong, it's somebody in the Western Arconia. And Bev Mellon is sort of, she's guilty of something. If she's not oversight, if it's not the mastermind, she got to be guilty of something. I don't know. And I don't want her guilty, but like, she's got to be guilty of something. And then a fallback plan is, instead of Bev being the mastermind, Dr. Maggie is the mastermind, right? Don't know. Think we're going to get more information from Helga. I think that bartender is going to be either helpful or hurtful, one of the two. Again, I want to move Big Mike to probably not, but a little fan service right there. We'll leave him there. Everybody here is going to be in probably not, even though I kind of wanted to move Zach Galifianakis. Man, here's an exciting hot theory as we round this out. I kind of wanted to move Zach Galifianakis. I'm just going to move him to maybe for my own nerves, right? He just had 2 phones. He had 2 phones in the season, man. What does that mean? He's not a shooter, right? Because he got shot. But like, what better way to get off the radar than to catch a stray? You know what I mean? I don't know. He's still until the bitter end. Like, he's got those 2 phones. Just a little sus, you know, to me. But I know Sherry's out there. Like, she's in our comments. She's going to be like, get him off of the maybe. I'm just, you know, it's the end. We're going to do what we do here. But yeah, we got all these people in probably not. And of course, we have our podcast trio in no way. Hopefully, I gave a good theory for why I put who I did at the top. Do you agree or disagree? And how does your suspect board look at home? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that is our final time seeing the board before all is revealed next week. I wanted to give my theory, since I haven't really given too many theories. I've said some things, but I haven't been like, ultimately, it's this person. I've always been a little on the fence, and I've had a lot of theories. Again, I think we all called out that Marshall was super suspicious. I think I got on board with everybody saying that he stole the script. Totally believe that. And now I just don't think he's the one. I don't think he's the one. He very well could be. It could be so easy, right? The show could be so easy to be like, yeah, he's the one, obviously. I just don't think he is. And if he's not, you heard it here first. He's not the guy. But Rudy, definitely look out for him. He is all that Christmas shit. Like, we see past it. We see past the disguises, Rudy. That is my ultimate theory. Let me know your ultimate theory before episode 10. Write it down in the comments. Nothing is wrong. Nothing's off limits. Let me know every single thought that you think about how this could work out. Any sort of theories, the who, what, when, where, why, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments. Y'all, this has been a blast, and I do want to apologize for doing a bit of a lengthier episode, but I felt like it's only right? It's our last time before the grand reveal. We got to have some fun, So I just appreciate everybody who has just liked, subscribed, all of y'all. I can't do this without none of y'all, so I appreciate all of y'all. I look forward to hearing from all of y'all in the comments. Look forward to speaking with all of y'all before the reveal. Thank y'all again so much. And if you're not already following the show on social media, feel free to follow us on X or Instagram, or you could follow me, Money Blakeweather, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I'd love to hear from all of y'all. Let's be friends. We're already friends here. Let's be friends there. And also let me know some shows that are coming up that are like murder mystery-esque. I know Grotesquerie is going on right now. I'd love to break that down. I'm watching it. It's wacky. It's wackadoodles. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I wouldn't have time to break down that and do that. I promise you, I wouldn't have time to do that. And also do a movie breakdown, which there should be a movie breakdown coming out the end of this month. So look out for that. I don't want to give away what it is. It's not Scream 3. That'll be coming soon. But there is a movie breakdown where I'm breaking down all the clues in the movie. So very excited for that. But I wouldn't have time to do that if I did Grotesquerie. So let me know in the comments what show we should break down after this. It's a murder mystery show. Maybe we'll have to wait a few months. But y'all could be like Wilson in Home Improvement. Y'all can just say hi from over the fence. You know what I mean? Some of y'all a little too young for that one. Some of y'all ripe and my age, you know what I mean? You get that one, you know what I mean? Let me know in the comments any shows that are coming down the future. Be like, Blake, this is a murder mystery show. Would you be interested in this? And I probably would be interested in it. So let me know. Or even a movie. I love me a good murder mystery movie. So let me know anything in the comments. I'd love to keep hanging out with y'all for months to come. I'm sure there will be a little lapse and whatnot, but let's try and plan some more hangouts together. You know what I mean? So let's keep the dream alive. I love and appreciate all of y'all. And thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this whole time, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this. I do appreciate you. And until the season finale next week, I will see you. Peace.